You are listening to WOOP-LP, Cleveland, Tennessee. WOOP FM is a broadcasting service of the Traditional Music Resource Center, and we play America's original music.
Good morning and welcome to Old Town Cleveland here on WOOP FM 99.9, or you can go to the internet at www.woopfm.com. You can call us here at 614-5553, and our fellow DJ, Mr. Morgan Denny, tell us what that number is if you don't live in this area.
Well, if you don't live in this area, Ron, just add 423 to the beginning of 614-5553.
And Mr. Morgan will start at Cleveland, Chattanooga State soon in the communication program, and we wishing him a lot of luck. We have taught him how not to do radio, and so he's got that out of his way for him.
I've only messed up about 9 times, so it's all fine.
One less
you
than just
10.
9.
One less than 10.
We done more than that, haven't we?
Yeah, in one morning.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, a lot of times like that. But today, folks, if you are interested in the Cherokee Cultural Celebration down at Red Clay State Park, it is free admission. They do charge you $5 to park your car. So if you have 20 people in the car, it costs $5. So if you have one of you, it's $5. So go down there. They got original Cherokee food vendors there. They have fried bread, which is a big thing. They have demonstrations from Cherokee crafts. The Eastern Band of the Cherokee Nation have sent all these people down here, paid their way to come down here to do these demonstrations for folks. And the Atua Warrior Dancers will be there tomorrow. And they're a nationally recognized dance group. They've only been at Red Clay one time, and that was at the 25th anniversary of the Red Clay. So it is very rare to get them here. They've traveled all over the world. So if you want to see those, if you would like to see a schedule of what's going on today and tomorrow, go to Facebook, and you can go to Old Town Cleveland's Facebook, and you can see it there. Or you can go to TN, Trail of Tears Association, and that is there. Or you can call the park. So, big thing going on today.
I speak a little Cherokee.
Okay, go ahead.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, how are you? Yeah, I was married to a Cherokee. Yeah, I used to date a Arapaho and a Navajo and a Chattanooga
girl.
Yeah. Okay, you can see. Today with us, if you haven't figured it out,
way off course.
We've got John Cook here. John Cook is the owner of Forever Music Recording Studios. He also is a private investigator, so he does a little bit of everything to make a dollar. So, but if you're a songwriter or want to be a songwriter,
your wife's cheating on you.
Yes. Well, you can write a song about the cheating on you, and you can. Just a toe pack. But if you've written a poem and you'd like to make it into a song, contact John, and he can help you convert that into music, and then he can perform the music, and sometime I'll be over assisting him on some of that. So he has written the soundtracks for 5 documentaries for us. Not bad, and then of course all the film music that goes in there, all that music's been original. And if you are an Old Town Cleveland fan, our theme song every week was written and performed by John Cook. So John, thank you for that song, and it's been heard by hundreds.
Yeah,
Yeah, hundreds now. Yeah. There's a few things you need to upgrade on it, but it's... But John's here today to talk about the old Bradley County Jail, the one located down on 2nd Street. It was a jail. It wasn't a correctional facility. John was there also when they closed the old jail and moved into the old new jail.
Yeah, the old new jail.
The Johnson Boulevard jail, where they went from a jail to a correctional facility. And the transitions were amazing. So, John, when you worked at the Bradley County Jail, built in what, 1947, the one on 2nd Street?
You realize the only thing we talk about here on this show is old stuff?
Well, it's kind of in the name.
Yeah. Old town Cleveland. Oh, yeah.
Got it. Anyway, what was your question?
You just waiting to try to remember the answer, aren't you? When did the Bradley County Jail, the old Bradley County Jail on 2nd Street, when was that building built? Do you remember or have an idea?
It was built in the early 80s. We moved into
in
Johnson Boulevard.
No, 2nd Street.
Oh, on 2nd Street.
Excuse me.
1947.
47. That bill's still standing and in.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Has the odor got out of it yet?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Still a few ghosts lingering around.
Yes, there are ghosts in there. I've witnessed the ghost in there, I have to admit. And I think it probably was built to hold 45, 50 people.
Yeah, I think maybe if you stayed legal, probably in the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
I remember a lot of times we had around 80 people in there, which was hard to do. All you had a drunk tank's what we called it. The proper term now would be a holding cell, but it was the drunk tank. And then there was I think maybe four
individual cells.
Four individual cells on the main floor. Then other than that, you had upstairs, you had the small block and the large block, just right across from each other.
They had a day room in each one of them. Didn't
bars.
Yeah.
And
old-fashioned bars and handles over them.
Just your typical box-type jail.
What was downstairs and that basement was 4 individuals? There wasn't a day room.
Yeah,
Then the dungeon.
Built a few wooden bunks downstairs in the dungeon right next to the furnace.
What was it was a
That's where the
isolation.
stayed.
It was an isolation.
Well, no, we did have a place in the basement called the Hole.
The Hole, yes.
You didn't want to go to the Hole.
Yeah.
It's about the size of a small broom closet and a little drain in the middle of the floor so that you could relieve yourself, and that was it. Solid door, and when you closed that door, you couldn't see your hand in front of your face.
No daylight, nothing.
No, we weren't supposed to put anybody in there for more than 8 hours tops. And that was just you had to be.
Did you ever lose anybody down there?
Unruly. You mean permanently? No.
Well, I mean, talk about more than 2 or 3 hours.
Well, I wouldn't use the word lost. I misplaced the fellow there one weekend, but we both survived. At
one time, the Bradley County Jail had one jailer that took care of the entire jail 7 days a week, 3 shifts. Right.
That's right.
I remember when I first went over to work over there with Lamar Lawson, is that you arrested someone and you'd go get the keys to the jail and you would take them into the jail and you'd just throw them into wherever you could get them. If they were drunk, you threw them in the drunk tank. Built to hold 6 people, normally held 35.
Hey, you pretty much hoped everybody was okay. Most nights, a lot of nights, the dispatcher, Buddy Scoggins, he would handle dispatch and the jail and take the fines and calls from all the drunks that were brought in. See, back that time, public drunkenness wasn't a criminal charge. You didn't have to go to court. You came in, they brought you in, you sobered up for 4 or 5 hours and paid the dispatcher $26.50 and went on about your merry way. Most of the old timers back during that time would make sure and carry that much money in their pocket that they wouldn't spend on gambling or drinking, just in case. That was their get out of jail money.
We've actually seen people that have been arrested twice in one night, right?
Oh yeah.
They would get drunk again and come back, and
So back out and party some more. If you had another 2650.
Unfortunately, there's some of the stories that happened there I don't think John and I will tell today.
Oh,
Yeah, because we were there, and the statute of limitations is not up yet. So for any of us,
But when I started there, it was the late 70s.
you went to work for
79,
Lamar
80.
Lawson, right?
Yeah, I worked for Lamar for just a short time, and then
Louis Justine became sheriff.
yeah, for a little period, and then Robert Lawson came in, and around that time, Tommy Teoquin, he ran the jail, and when I say he ran the jail, he ran the jail.
Mm-hmm.
He did everything, including cut the inmates' hair on the weekends. He'd bring in his clippers and set up upstairs outside the main cell blocks upstairs, and would just start cutting inmates' hair. So
Tommy
for the
may-
longest time, it was just Tommy and myself.
Tommy may call us today.
Hey, that's great.
I
haven't heard from him in a
he's
long
in
time.
the Philippines.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think he's in the Philippines, and he said it would be about 9:20 tonight or 10:20 tonight. If I said we'll call about right after 10:20 or something like that, and he said, okay. So he's in the Philippines. So
See, now I always count Buddy Scoggins as one of the.
he was a dispatcher.
Yeah, he was the dispatcher, but it was basically Buddy and Tommy and myself. And I worked night shift. I would come in around 10 or 11 at night and worked about 6 or 7 in the morning.
6 days a week.
Yeah, about 6 days a week. It was something else.
He was making
Wasn't anything like it is now.
he was making thousands of dollars a month, right?
God, thousands of dollars a year.
What was he making? About $600 a month.
Just a little bit under. Actually, it was around. It's 5 something a month.
So that's 72 hours a week.
You got paid once a month.
Yeah, once a month. Yeah.
We got paid around the 15th of the month, somewhere like that. And well, most months we did. There. See, you're laughing. There was a period of time there when the county commission didn't get a budget approved, and we went for maybe 3 months, maybe longer, without pay. And I remember at the time, Robert made some arrangements with one of the banks. I don't recall which. It was one of the local banks, and they loaned us our pay monthly until the budgets were approved. And at that time, when we got all of our back pay, we each had to go into the bank and repay the money that they advanced us.
That's great.
So, we managed to keep going anyway, but.
Well, I know that long before Tommy got there, the jailer system was basically just somebody who would, and there wasn't an inventory of prisoners. When you needed a prisoner, you walked back there and you yelled out, "Hey, George."
Hey, there were.
And when George answered, you got him out. You just hope you got the right guy out.
There were times back in the early days when you had trustees walking around
Oh, well,
taking care of the place.
I know that I walked in to lock up a prisoner and we could not find the keys to the jail. They were a big key ring with big brass keys, the old looking keys. And we'd have to call around to everybody who's on the road, says, "Hey, check, see if you got the keys." And somebody says, "Hey, I got them. I'll be there in 10 minutes. And so they would have to bring. So if the jail had caught on fire, nothing you could do. And particularly in the cell blocks upstairs, you went in and you opened up a big door, then you went to this big metal case. And when you opened up, then you had a key to open up the big metal case, and inside there was a padlock on a big lever. You had to undo the padlock and then pull that big lever, and that would finally open the door. Well, if the building was on fire, there was no way we were getting them out anyway, because that was 4 steps just to get that one. That's one cell block.
Yeah.
Not,
Wasn't the safest of places.
no, and there was no sprinkler system, no air conditioning system, very little steam heat, radiators.
I'll tell you, probably the most dangerous part of that jail, though, was those 20, 30 years or more of silver lead paint that was
Mold and mildew and
every,
fungus and
you know, every 10 years it slapped some more of that old silver paint on the
there was
the brick, and
there was not a lot of sterilization in that jail, was there?
not a lot.
Okay. Let me ask you this.
Hey, it was what it was. It was it was your typical old, you know, type county jail.
Did you ever find any contraband in the old jail? I think you find contraband in every jail, but what did you find in the old jail?
Good Lord, you name it. I mean, visitation was every Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no real visitation list. It's just you came up and said you were family. And these people were allowed to bring in everything. I'm talking about 2-liter drinks, bags of food, prescription medication that they would, of course, they would give that to me. But there was so much contraband come in. I mean, they would take you know how the 2-liter Cokes are, the little plastic black bottom. Well, you can pull those off. And they would put marijuana in the bottom of those and then glue the bottom of the drinks back on. Some of them may have had a little bit of Jack Daniels in them, and there was, you know, there was all kinds of ways of getting contraband in, but you just.
Was you there when you heard the clink, clink, clink?
Oh yeah, that was my shift. That was my shift. That was a Mayberry type. That would have made a good Mayberry episode. I think it was it's on the weekend, and probably about 2:00 in the morning. A lot of times, if it got quiet, it was having a quiet night, which was rare on the weekend. You know, I'd go out and sit on the back steps of the jail and just kind of take it easy for a little bit. One night about 2 in the morning, I'm sitting there and I hear this clinking sound. Just clink, clink, clink. And I thought, what the heck? So I got up and walked and looked around. Didn't see anything. Sat back down. A few minutes later, I heard it again. Got up and walked around and walked around behind the jail and looked, and there's a fifth of Jack Daniels that's going up the side of the jail, and it's clinking up against the brick wall. And so I went upstairs to investigate, and turns out that during visitation, the day or so before, somebody had brought in one of these little small pocket fishermen. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The pocket fishermen. And upstairs in the main set, in the big block, you know, everything's just bars.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a small catwalk that was about 3 feet wide, and then there's the window, and it's bars. And this inmate had taken this pocket fisherman, and he would cast right between the bars and out that window over into the parking lot. The church parking lot was right behind the jail. His girlfriend was tying fists of liquor onto the end of that pocket fisherman, and he was reeling it up the side of the building. By the time I got up there was like 4 empty bottles. I mean, they were empty. But, you know, on the good side, there was about 18 to 20 guys in that cell block that were extremely happy and weren't much of a problem, you know.
Slept good that night.
They slept good, a little bit intoxicated. I picked up the empties and figured, well, nothing to do about it now.
What about the, did you ever find any Raisin Jack or Apple Jack upstairs?
Oh, Lord, yeah. You can still find it. We found that so many times over on Johnson Boulevard when we moved in over there.
Tell people what that is if they don't know.
Just, you know, if you've been served any type of fruit or peaches or anything like
raisins.
that, just raisins, or you just take it all and throw it in a little garbage bag, and everybody kicks in their sugar packets and what sugar was served with their breakfast or meals, and dump all that in there and let it ferment for a couple of days. If you could wait that long, usually they couldn't wait that long. It was pretty nasty stuff, but they would make it all the time. I've seen them make it in the toilet.
Basically, they were making a fruit mash.
Yeah.
But the difference is they didn't wait to distill it.
No, there was no distillation process.
So they actually drank that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I drank some bad orange wine one time, and I was sick for 3 days.
Well, this was these guys had an iron constitution, I guess.
All right. Hey, folks, you're listening to Old Town Cleveland here on Whoop FM 99.9 or on the internet at
WOOPFM.com.
Very good. And tell us about the phone number, Morgan.
Well, you can call us here at 614-5553, or if you happen to be out of the area, just add 423 to the beginning of 614-5553.
And we're opening the phones up now. If you'd like to call us, just use one of those numbers there, or that number, or the 423 on top of it. I think you can call 423 if you're in there again, but
I reckon.
you reckon?
I reckon.
Okay. So make sure you follow Old Town Cleveland on Facebook. It's Old Town Cleveland. If you'd like to join, you'll have to go to our site called Friends of Old Town Cleveland, because Facebook only allows us to have 5,000 friends. So we've started a second page. You get the same information on both of them.
Wow.
So,
All right, well, we have a caller. Caller,
All right.
you are live on Old Town Cleveland.
Good morning, Ron and John. How's it going?
great. Who's this?
It's Bullet.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, Bullet.
I'm doing okay. I'm over at the cemetery doing a little work. I just want to ask John about, or you, the one, back in the days when the old jail was up around town, how many people could you put in that jail?
It's
How
supposed
many-
to put about 50 to 60. We'd have around 80 in there a lot of times over the weekend, but usually during the week we'd have maybe in the 50s.
They had, sometimes on Friday and Saturday night, they'd have 35 people in the drunk tank that held 6 people. Just on the,
You know, guys, it don't look like it hold over 10.
well, it wasn't comfortable at 50.
And upstairs you had 2 cell blocks. We call them the small and the big block. And I think the one held was set up to hold about 18. But we could cram around 25 or so in there, and the other side about 30 maybe.
I don't think I'll get Sheriff Lamar lost in trouble now. He's dead and gone, but he was a friend of my dad's, and my dad almost spent some time in there too one time, and Sheriff Lamar Lawson seen him bring him in there, and he said, "Why are you bringing Mr. Goins in here for?" He said, he said, "Turn him loose." So I don't know for sure. Anyway, he told him to let my dad go.
Hey, he had authority. Sheriff is the highest ranking law enforcement officer in the.
Yeah, pretty powerful position in
Very
all of
powerful office.
Tennessee. You know, the way it's a constitutional office. It is required that every county has a sheriff. For example, Metro government in Nashville they no longer have a county government. They still have a sheriff there by state law.
Well, I actually thought a lot of with Sheriff Lamar Lawson. Actually, done my dad. He knew my dad real well. And I heard a story a long time ago, guys, that Sheriff Buford Pusser come to Cleveland, and him and Lawson went up there to Coffee Cup and eat together.
I don't know that, but it wouldn't surprise me. Lamar was a great guy. I tell a lot of people I learned a lot of my political knowledge from Lamar. When he was sheriff, he'd go out and stand at Handy Andy down in McDonald's, sit there and with a carton of milk and a little pack of crackers and talk to everybody that came in. And he knew how to get with the people, like say, and he was a hard-working sheriff, too. You could call this jail at 2 o'clock in the morning, and Lamar would answer the phone. Not the dispatcher. A lot of times Lamar would answer the phone. So he was a hard-working guy, great guy, well, thanks for calling there, Bullet. How's the cemetery going?
It's doing real good. I think my brother's going to get out of the hospital today. He's been in our run for 3 days. He was dehydrated, and I think they're going to let him out today sometime. I mean, worried about that boy, but I think he's going to be all right.
Well, good to hear that. Tell Paul we are thinking about him.
What's he done out the cemetery?
Bullet and Paul, they take care of the veteran cemetery. They have donated their time and efforts there for many years. And so they do just an unbelievable service to the people of Cleveland, Bradley County, and all the veterans. And, we can't say a thanks enough to Bullet there. He really does. Him and his brother do a great job. No pay. They decide they're going to do that. And that's their contribution to the city of Cleveland. Hey, you can call us here at
614-5553, or if you're out of the area, 423-614-5553.
Talking to talking to John Cook about the old Bradley County Jail, and when it was just jailers or a jailer. We got another call here.
All right, caller, you are live on Old Town Cleveland.
Hello. Try it again. Push that button again. Hey.
Now you're live.
Good morning, Mrs. Marilyn.
Hey, Marilyn.
Hey, Marilyn.
Marilyn Bandy worked at the jail there.
She did.
Yeah, I worked at the jail. We worked at the old jail for, what, a month or something before we...
Yeah, before we moved over to the new Justice Center on Johnson Boulevard.
You thought
there was about 18 of us that worked for probably a couple of months at the old jail. Which,
that felt like going from like a Hotel 6
God.
to a Ritz-Carlton, wasn't
You
it?
didn't know what to do with all those people. It's kind of like, you're used to doing it yourself.
I remember the best story I always liked was Ruthie Poteet was dispatching. She heard somebody sawing out upstairs in the old jail. Mm-hmm. And she called Andy Lockhart and she said, Andy, somebody's sawing it. I'll be there in a little while. And they let them saw all the way through the bar. And when they come down the wall, Andy just grabbed them by the scruff of the neck and took them back in and put them back up. But Ruthie said, I was there by myself. I couldn't leave the phone to go and see what they were doing.
Smacked them with a Chattanooga phone director on the way out.
I've heard several calls where they're calling saying, there's something going on back here. We need some help, and some of the stories I can't tell, but I know. But at the new jail, the old new jail now, I think they broke through the wall of Andy Lockhart's office and walked out the front door.
There's this beautiful picture of Andy looking through this hole. His office bordered maximum security F block, and there was a defect in the old Justice Center that we were not aware of, and that
They put no bars in the concrete.
And they had only poured every other row of concrete blocks. They were supposed to be all poured with
didn't work.
cement.
Yeah, they punched a hole in the wall and just walked out the front door of the jail.
And he had this look on his face like, out of all the offices they could have came out of, it had to be mine.
You were talking about contraband, and I was working second shift. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
You're still here.
I was working second shift with Catfish Ledford, which was an adventure in itself. And, some lady, they booked somebody in, and I went out and got the stuff, and I was searching it so we could send it back to them, and there was a thing of baby powder, and I went to prying the lid off of it, and Catfish just had a fit. You're going to get that stuff. Of course, he didn't say it that mildly, but all over the jail, it had joints rolled up in aluminum foil and on the inside of it. But they were, you never knew what they were going to try to bring in there.
You know what the biggest problem was over at the new old jail on Johnson Boulevard?
Old new jail.
Toothpaste.
Why was toothpaste a problem?
Well, for a while there, we didn't provide toothpaste. Now, later on, toothpaste was a commissary item.
Mm-hmm.
But they would shove a joint or two wrapped up down in a tube of toothpaste. And the only thing we could do was we had to check it. So the only way you could really check toothpaste, you just squirt that whole tube of toothpaste out on the desk.
How elaborate.
And we never could figure out a way to get the toothpaste back in the
It's just an
tube.
elaborate way to hide a joint. Like, stuff it in toothpaste.
So, well, this
What?
looks okay. Just roll up aluminum foil and hand it to them.
They had more elaborate ways that we won't talk about. They had things when they first come in, when they knew they had to turn themselves in. Oh, my gosh, some of the stories there.
Well, it was good talking to you, and I'm enjoying the program, and we'll talk to you later.
All right, if you think of any more great stories, let us know. All right, bye-bye. Maryland
There's
was,
tons of great stories. It's just stories that you can tell.
yes, oh yeah. there's-
Statute of limitations, I don't think, has ran out on some of that stuff.
Well, we don't care about the guys that were in jail. We're talking about the correctional officer.
oh, okay.
Oh, that's now while you were at the jail, did anyone ever escape when you were there?
Oh, goodness. Which one?
At the
On 2nd Street?
yeah, on 2nd Street.
On 2nd Street, not while I was there.
Now Tommy Walken got
Yeah.
Five got out.
He
left a scar on his head, didn't he?
Just shortly after Joe Shepard
Mhm.
made his escape from
I remember
the
that.
county jail, and Joe ended up in Canada, and I think he was he stayed out and eluded us for close to 20 years.
20 years, yeah.
Until an episode of America's Most Wanted
Got him.
got him. And
Then had
if you
to get him
recall,
extradited out of Canada.
Joe's the one that murdered the 2 teenage girls up in the
Right. Yeah, I remember the greatest thing, the greatest
around
photo.
up in there.
It won some big major award. He had buried them out behind his trailer,
Right.
and one of the girl's hands had came up out of the ground almost like it was a blooming flower,
Yeah,
and it was
just
up
throw
past
some
her
old
ankle,
tires
and her
stuff.
hand was there, and there was a drop of dew come off the fingers. This reporter heard the call before the police did, and he got that unbelievable shot of that dead hand drop of dew come off.
They overpowered, I think, Tommy upstairs, and then came down the stairwell.
It wasn't Tommy, it was
into the
another
kitchen.
guy.
Yeah, that's right.
Just for Tommy.
All right, let's get this caller. Caller, you are live on Old Town Cleveland.
Yeah, Doc Hollywood here.
Hey, Doc Hollywood, how are you? Tell us about being in jail.
Well, I know my senior year in '82. For some reason, we took a school tour through there. That old jail, it was pretty rough. They had sheets tied up and laundry tied up, whatever, across the bars, and it wasn't a real pleasant place to be. I understand. Talk about escape now. Was there where infamous Joseph Arlen Shepard, didn't he make his escape from the old Bradley County
Yeah.
jail?
Yeah, that's
He
what
did.
we were just talking about. That. Yeah, he overpowered a guard. I can't think. I can see the guy's face.
Yeah, I can,
Was
but I
it
can't.
Donald Dixon?
That sounds might be right. I don't know, but yeah, because I helped chase him for a long time.
So there was some kind of foot chase as immediately after Shepard escaped.
No. He got completely away, and then there was just they was roadblocks all over town and up through Polk County, and we seen him cross a road one time, or I didn't see him, but they seen him cross a road, and there was all kind of chases after him, and then he just disappeared. I went to Tellico one time about 2 years after he escaped, and went up in the middle of the mountains and surrounded a trailer. And of course, when we got to Tellico, everybody in town knew we were there. So that underground information flew pretty well up there. And then he ended up in Canada, of course.
And ended up in Canada under the name of Joseph Tripp. He was featured many times on the old Unsolved Mysteries.
Yeah.
And I remember when that happened. It was the big thing in Cleveland. My mother having to work down there, what they called Central Service, where they did the
Right next door. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Everybody was, terrified. There's a double murder on the loose here, in Cleveland, Bradley County area. There was that happened.
Well, now of course, the murder took place in Monroe County, and of course, the jail, they were concerned about escape there and his safety there because the jail wasn't secure, so they moved him to the Bradley County Jail, which going more secure, but that was to protect him more than it was to protect the people up
Yeah,
there.
they were lining up to kill him up there.
Oh yeah, I remember what those girls' name was. Roxanne Woodson, I think. I can't remember the other girl's name.
You got better memory than I do, Doc. But we were talking about the picture of the hand up there and the drop of dew coming off of it. The photographer got, he got the call on the scanner, and he was right there, and he got behind the trailer and got a picture as the sun coming up and fog in behind it, and that hand coming out there, and he won all kind of national photography awards for that picture.
I remember that. I actually did attend part of the trial down there when they brought Shepard back to Bradley County there. So, I guess I can say I've looked into the eyes of a double murderer, because I looked at Shepard a couple of times. He looked at me. Of course, my hair wasn't nowhere near as long as it is now, but yeah, that was big news there. Bradley County Jail there.
Yep, it was a unique one, and then of course after the top of the hour, we're going to talk about moving into the old new jail over on Johnson Boulevard.
I never went behind the bars over there. I did get a little ticket for reckless driving one time, and you guys remember Catfish Ledford was part-time bondsman too, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, he was. He was a constable.
It was constable.
He was a constable, corrections supervisor, part-time bondsman,
Bus
and
driver?
Coke salesman,
Bus driver.
bus driver.
Yeah.
He did it all.
I had a single vehicle accident one night there in Cleveland. It wound up being a little reckless driving charge, and I'm telling you guys, I wish I still had the receipt. That's exactly what Catfish Ledford wrote down, reckless, R-I-C. Exactly how he talked, reckless driving.
He didn't talk on the radio, though. I mean, the Catfish would say he'd call out his number, and he says, one night he was needing help. He says, shh, shh. Where you at, Catfish? I'm at the white picket fence. And we're going,
Enjoyed your program this morning, guys.
All right.
Thank you so much.
all right, thanks. When's your next time you do your show?
Oh, not one on the books right now. Probably somewhere in mid-August, I would think.
Mid-August.
Late August. But thank you for asking. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Doc.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
I
So,
remember one weekend night they got Catfish to bring his school bus up to the Starlight Lounge,
yes, I was there.
and they loaded him up. I mean,
Everybody at Starlight
everybody at the Starlight Lounge
went to jail.
went to jail. They had
They
that
had made
school bus-
Lamar mad about something. I forgot what
he
it was.
Yeah, they said the wrong thing somewhere.
See, people don't remember the Starlight, Lazy Boy Club, the Crow's Nest, Mineral Park.
That wasn't a lucky night to be at the Starlight Lounge.
What
that's
was
for
the
sure.
bar all the way down Spring Place, right down on the line down there?
Oh, good grief. I know the one you're talking about. I can't think of the...
Of course, if you went north, you had to go to the Moonglow.
Yeah. If you want to cross the line up in Polk County, you go out to the Pines.
The Pines, yeah. Yeah, was a great place, the Pines. But what was the one down on?
I remember that night I was actually getting ready to go home. They called in and said, you're going to have to hang around.
Surely,
They're bringing in some from the Starlight. And I thought, well, why can't you handle it? And they said, well, they got a Catfish that got his bus loaded.
we done a big,
Oh, man.
you remember the big drug raid we did, and we brought in 70, 80 people, too? That was pretty,
Yeah.
that was, at the old jail, that was a big thing. So, I'm going to talk about the kitchen a little bit. The kitchen was basically, wasn't even a good apartment, a kitchen, was it?
No.
No, I mean,
And
and
Mary Matthews turned out some of the best
oh,
food. You couldn't complain
Miss
about
Mary.
the food at the old county jail downtown.
But on Sundays, I was a reserve officer and I worked Sundays usually. There was this big metal pot, 2 feet tall,
Yeah.
2 feet around, full of pink water.
Yep.
Because they had them hot dogs with that red dye in them, and they'd been soaking in that hot water all day
They have
long.
that red number 9 dye.
Yeah, and it just,
They just don't make them like that anymore.
And-
Well, they do if you look really hard.
but the water's pink and it's boiling and bubbling, and you got you a hot dog and you put it on a piece of light bread because
Yep.
they didn't have buns, and that's how we had our. Now then, something else they had in the refrigerator that was always good there:
Bologna.
bologna and
Government
cheese, government cheese, and a big slice of bologna.
Oh, man, we got
Oh.
that government cheese. But let me tell you what, government cheese is good cheese. It's not like
It's
that
tough to
crap
cut,
you buy
though,
in the
huh?
supermarket.
It's tough to cut, wasn't it?
Tough to cook, but, man, it was good to chew.
And the squad room was basically an old room that no one used with an old couch on it and no table, and that's where you had roll call at the old jail.
Right.
I mean, you walked in and
And upstairs was a small living quarters. The sheriffs
Yeah.
actually
with the
lived
tub,
there.
yeah, at one time,
Matter
yeah.
of fact, the last sheriff to actually occupy that was
Bill Gibson,
uh,
thinking Bill Gibson. I don't know. No, Bill Gibson went home, didn't he?
Yeah.
At 5 o'clock. That's what
You know,
everybody
I used to know the name of the last sheriff. And
wasn't Jarvis. Was it Jarvis? Wendell didn't live there, did he? Well,
I think Jarvis may have.
Jarvis may. Yeah. Hey, folks, if you know the answers to these questions, what number do they need to call?
Well, if they know the answer, they can call 614-5553, or if they're out of the area, 423-614.
I believe Jarvis may have been the last one to actually occupy that.
There's somebody out there will know the answer
After
to
that, they kind of turned it into an office. Remember Zella Green?
Yeah.
And,
If you don't know the answer and have a question
She
or a
worked up
comment, you can call us at those numbers also. If you spend any time in the jail, and you can stay unanimous if you want to.
Unanimous.
Unanimous, yeah.
Wow.
Or anonymous, either way, and say, I was in that jail and just loved the food there, or you loved the accommodations. I posted some pictures on Facebook, and there's some people, particularly the shower back there, and somebody posted a picture going, yuck. Yeah, that's a kind word, wasn't it? Yuck.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Good description of the shower.
the shower looked like to me, John, after you come out of the shower, you would be a different type of dirty.
A little bit.
Iron flakes on you and rust and
But you wouldn't smell as bad.
I don't know that water. Now, also the gas pump for the patrol cars to fill up. It was right there at the back corner.
Yeah.
If you was facing jail, it was on the back right corner. And what people don't understand is if you look at a picture of it, the coal chute.
Yep. The coal chute with furnace right
Furnace
there.
was right there. And then the electrical boxes. And then even worse, where the cars were parked was the tank itself.
Right.
So they filled it up there. So with all this, and then with these guys smoking and throwing cigarettes out the window, there's just something about that that said, OSHA did not see this.
Wasn't the safest place to be.
You know, and and then when you were a correctional officer, it was just, you were back there by yourself, and if you had the keys, nobody could come back there to help you.
Yep, that's right.
There wasn't two sets of keys, was he? I never seen two
There wasn't
sets.
that many officers on the road. There were a lot of nights when there were
Three
officers on the road to cover the entire county.
Well,
So they would bring someone in and turn them over to you there at the back at the walk around, what we called it, and you put them in the walk around, and then the officer would leave. So, you know, you had Buddy Scoggins who was up front as a dispatcher. So, you know, if I had a guy back there that I was booking in that kind of got rowdy, you know, you just had to handle it. And if it's something I couldn't handle, I'd just have to give a good yell out and hope Buddy was available. And he would basically leave dispatch and run back. And
Did you ever have a situation like that?
oh man, dozens of them. Some of them were cartoon episodes. You know, ones where you get hit so hard you're seeing stars.
Yeah. Some of those
Been in a few
guys,
of those.
after they've drank a bottle of Jack Daniels and took a bottle of Quaaludes, you
That
know,
was the
and
big thing back then was Quaaludes and liquor.
and you couldn't hurt those guys. I mean, they just keep.
No.
I hit one in the elbow with my nightstick one night, and he just laughed at me. I said, "Well, I ain't going in there." I said, "You're on your own, John."
They brought no boy in one night. I won't mention his name, but he was messed up on Jack and Quaaludes, and he grabbed a hold of the bars and wouldn't let go. Of course, I'm on the inside of the walk around with him. I'm in the wrong place. And the officer on the outside of the bars just finally took a nightstick and just cracked his knuckles.
That was me.
Was that okay?
That was me.
I thought I recognized you.
Yeah, hit him in the elbow and the knuckles, and he just laughed at me. And I'm going,
laughed, and then he turned loose of the bars and turned around and looked at me, and I thought, holy crap, this is about to get ugly.
"Yeah, that was
And it
me."
did. Matter of fact, he ended up ripping the collar clean off of my shirt. All the way around.
They was, talking about people going through that jail. There was some pretty evil people that we housed there. Of course, Joe Shepard was just the murder, but we got a call here.
All righty, caller, you were live on Old South Cleveland.
Yes, I'm waiting to talk to John Cook.
Go ahead.
This is Ruthie.
Hey,
Ruthie Cartwright.
hey, how you doing? Me and Ruth, we ran that jail, buddy. Ruth was one of the original people that trained.
Yeah, went over to.
Yeah, that went over when we opened up the new jail, which was a scary place in its own right because it was so big in the back and with all the cell blocks and it was kind of a unique place to be in at night, wasn't it, Ruth Ann?
Yeah, it was. Well, we had a good time.
Oh, we did. Man, you still making any of those apple stack cakes?
No.
My
But they,
God, I dream about those sometimes.
Yeah, I remember those. I lay there in bed and think about them.
Yeah, I dream about those. I dream about you sometimes too, but we won't talk about that.
Better not. We won't talk about all the stuff we got it.
There you go.
I still love y'all.
Hey, love you too.
Hey,
Ricky.
how you doing?
Oh, good. I have my MS,
Uh-huh.
and I still have my pink Cadillac. I go to church with my pink Cadillac.
So you still live down in the Cedar Springs area?
Yeah, I'm still down here.
Well, I think you and your family's lived there a few years now, haven't they?
Yeah. And that word you was think about was Crazy Corners.
Crazy Corner, yeah,
Oh,
thank
yeah.
you. We knew you knew where all the bars were.
Yeah, I just wanted to call and say hello.
Well, thank you, Ruthie. It's good to hear from you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
I tell you, Ruth Ann's about the finest person you'd ever want to meet.
Nice lady.
Matter of fact, we had a really solid group of people that were put together to go over and open that new jail up and run it. Ruth Ann was one of them. Marilyn Bandy, Phil Stauffenbill, of course, Tommy Jocelyn, Frankie Lockhart,
Terry Hunt.
Ray Higgins, Terry Hunt, Sheila Massengale, Dual Hell, Cheryl Holloway, James Dirth, Anderson Sanders. And I think shortly after we got over there, Alan Walsh came in, but that was when softball season started.
That's when things started dropping down, when you hired Alan with standards?
No.
No. Alan and I are very
We
good
started
friends.
winning more games.
Yeah. Alan and I are good friends, so I can't think of
Oh, you can't beat Alan. Of course, Catfish Ledford, Troy
Catfish, yeah.
Spence, Keith Edwards, Tommy Runyon,
Hello.
Kathy Yon. She was part of the original
And Miss
staff.
Mary went over
Miss Mary went over and
for a while.
cooked for a while, and then Sandra Brookshire took over the kitchen, and Don Harris.
Oh, a medical person.
Yeah, Don Harris. We actually had a medical clinic.
Tommy Runyon was actually your maintenance guy?
Don Harris and Darla Prater, Tommy Runyon. Yeah, he handled maintenance.
Wow.
And, of course, then Jesse Yon came in later and
You know, the sad thing,
took over the garage.
the bulk of those people are no longer there anymore, because that's been 35 years ago, wasn't it? 1982?
Yeah, 82 is when we moved into
35
the,
years ago. And they've
Jail
closed
in
that
Johnson
jail
Boulevard.
now and
Yeah.
moved into an even newer jail and bigger jail now. So over in the old jail, but we did hold some, Joe Shepard. We also had Ronald Maddox there, who, of course, and Wanda Maddox,
Yeah.
who were charged with the murder of Militia Gibson, which is a huge case here in this area. Some of you, it's older and remember that got national recognition for the murder, the child abuse murder there. And then the guys who killed McClary up at next to the Crystal, the McClarys up there. I can't think of his first name or first name, but McClary. And of course, they'd already went on to prison, but they brought them back and reheard them here. And these were stone cold killers.
Oh, yeah.
And then I remember, I can't think of the two boys' name who killed Mr. Key up at the Cleveland Mall.
Right.
I can't think of the two boys' name. I can see both their faces because I had to when they were convicted, I was assigned that day to handcuff them, take them out of the courtroom, down the back steps, and into the patrol car, and back to the jail. So,
Then we
somebody talking about putting your hands on murderers. You know, I had two guys.
Plumley and Kilgore, I believe, was
Yes.
the names, killed the Swafford couple up on the
Oh, yeah.
Southley Highway. That was a pretty strange. Plumley character was a pretty strange dude. These guys were young. Just
That was
barely-
down at Tony Sisman's grandfather on
20s.
Southley Highway.
Yeah.
Yeah, they killed those people down there, yeah.
I remember I was booking him in. He was probably 19 or 20 years old and just had this stare on his face. And,
Mhm.
you know, just a dead stare. And I kept looking at him. I was asking him questions. And he looked at me and he said, you know why I did it? And I said, no, I sure don't. He said, you see the guy sitting next to me? Of course, there was no one there. And I said, no, do you? He said, yeah. He said, he's been with me since I was a teenager. He said, wearing a black hat. And he said, he told me to. He said, if he tells me to kill you right now, I'll do it. I thought, oh, okay.
Did you lean over and say, hey, looked at the imaginary person and says, Minnie, okay? Okay, good.
Oh, that imaginary guy.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's just amazing at the, you know, it's, now, the most interesting people you ever booked there, it was before you got there, I believe, before I was starting to work there, was the Bradley County Commissioners were indicted. The entire Bradley County Commission was indicted by the grand jury for failure to provide adequate jail facilities in Bradley County.
Yep.
That's the reason
That's how we got
we
to the
moved from
Justice
that
Center.
old jail and moved to the Justice Center, the new Justice Center in 82, Johnson Boulevard. I talked to Carl Collins the other day and says, what year was that? And Carl says, Lord, I can't remember that far. But he was the county mayor, whatever they called him at that time. You know, they changed the name on that every year, but that county mayor type position, I think he was county judge then, what they called him. He was from 74 to 82. He was in that position. He was there and he was not indicted because he was on record at the county commission saying we got to build a new jail.
Right.
So he had never failed his duty, but they actually had the county commissioners had to come and get booked at the Bradley County Jail.
Uh-huh.
Now, none of them went in jail, and I think they all got on their own recognizance.
Yeah, and you know, in actuality, they knew this was just part of the process of getting to
Yes.
new jail. Something was going to have to happen to force the issue because, you know, these folks were elected, and you know, the last thing people want to spend money on is a jail.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, everybody, it wasn't like it was an adversarial thing. They knew this was part of the process. It was going to have to be legally forced by the courts to do it. And then that way, you know, people really couldn't complain that, well, my county commissioner's the reason my taxes went up and we're building this new jail is because they had no choice.
Well,
once
you know,
it was ordered by the
Of
court.
course, there was a point that where the safety, the quality of life was even below what any prisoner ought to be in at that time. I mean, it was a pretty deplorable place.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at where they stay at now, I mean, you know, it's painted and it's bright and windows and no bars anymore. There's no bars, you know, in jails. And so that was very important. And then, of course, to ease that pain, the Bradley County Commission said instead of raising taxes tremendously, I don't know if they raised tax, they were going to put a
Jail tax.
jail tax. Every time you got arrested, they added another $100 to your fine.
And there was a lot of things that changed back along that time, and some that were good and some that are not.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and I'll probably make some people mad, which you know, I'm 63 and retired now, so I really don't
You
care.
never made nobody mad.
I really don't care. But in my opinion, And I was there until 2000 when I left the department. I was chief deputy sheriff at that time. But over the years, from the 70s to then, you know, so many things happened that caused the jails to be overcrowded. It's like public drunkenness. When I first started there, that was not a criminal offense that you would go to court for.
$26.50.
You would pay $26.50 there at the jail, and you were out. Well, you know, we need to build a new facility, so they criminalized that, I guess you would say. And all of a sudden now, all your PDs had to go to court, which meant they would have to pay a fine and a cost, and a court fee, and a court cost. And those are the monies that we earmarked for the jail. But at the same time, what happened was you went from holding maybe 40 or 50 people to all of a sudden 80 or 90, and within
people
2
couldn't pay that
months,
fee.
within a few months of moving into the Justice Center on Johnson Boulevard, we were overcrowded again. And if you go down the line and look at all the things over the years that we've criminalized and made, you know, offenses that you can go to jail for, including not being able to pay, you fine. That's why we're so overcrowded.
Let's get this call here.
All right, caller, you are live on Old Town Cleveland.
Like a debtor's prison.
Hey, Ron?
Yeah.
Freddie want to know who was the people upstairs that done the cooking.
Well, Mary Matthews was the cook at the old jail down on 2nd Street.
I don't know if her last name's Matthews, but she's related to P.Dab Matthews.
We always called her Miss Mary.
Miss Mary, yeah. I
Miss
can't.
Mary.
But she lives not too far from here, or did, right over here on street going up to the post office.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. You tell my buddy I'm glad to hear him.
Well, you can tell him right there he's listening to you.
Hey, John,
Right.
you need to be back on the radio.
What's cooking with John Cook?
I played the radio sometimes.
Well, you need to be back down there at Wolf.
I've got the looks for radio, don't I?
You'll need to call the management of Whoop Radio to get that happen.
Well, who is y'all do it?
Daniel Brantley.
Well, actually, I'm retired.
Well, you know what? He better put John back on there. We're going to get him.
If they'll pay him $100,000 a year, he'll be back.
What we need down there, Ron?
Yep. Well, we'd love to see him back too. He's done a great job for us.
Yeah, he's my school buddy. He needs to be back.
He's he can remember about half the things he used to remember now, but that'd be quite a bit stuff.
Well, the rest of it I write down.
Or he makes up.
Back.
He makes it up.
Back down there.
All right.
It's good to hear from you.
Yeah, all those fees and everything just really went up. And so I think it was about $100 they added to it. I might be wrong. It went up to 100. Probably could have been 50, 60. Anyway, they added a lot of money to the fine. As you said, people couldn't pay the fine or the cost now.
And there's a ton of those now. I mean,
So we actually left in 82 a
Right.
jail that was overcrowded, tremendously overcrowded now, and moved into the new jail.
within 6 months we were full.
I thought you were crowded in almost the first day.
Well, we were
Over.
there when we first moved in the first few months. We always had an empty cell block because we would shuffle out of one cell block to it and then do some maintenance and cleaning. But within 6 months, we were at capacity and
Then had bunks out in the areas too, didn't you?
Do what?
And extra bunks
Oh,
put
yeah,
in there,
yeah.
cots. Hey, it's time.
Mattresses on the floor.
It's time for our mid-morning break here. Every week at this time, we after our sponsors, we play a song called "Gone Home" by the Bluegrass Band. That's the name of them, the Bluegrass Band.
I like that name.
I mean, you can't forget that. But anyway, it's a song called "Gone Home," written by Jumpin' Bill Carlisle in honor of his brother. We play it in honor of all those people in our community and your friends and relatives and people around the world who've passed away this week. We'll be back here on Old Town Cleveland with John Cook and Morgan Denny right after these few words.
You are listening to WOOP-LP, Cleveland, Tennessee. Whoop FM is a broadcasting service of the Traditional Music Resource Center, and we play America's original music.
At Buy Here, Pay Here USA, we don't just sell cars, we buy them. Bring your car, truck, or SUV down to Buy Here, Pay Here USA, and we'll give you a free appraisal with no obligation. We pay top dollar for most cars, so before you trade in your vehicle, come see us for an appraisal. At Buy Here, Pay Here USA, we pay the most for your car. Visit Buy Here, Pay Here USA in Cleveland, Dayton, or Chattanooga, or go to buyheresellhere.com. That's buyheresellhere.com. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
Tired of carrying around cash in your pocket and tired of banks? Visit usmoneycard.com and get your prepaid debit card to use wherever MasterCard is accepted. It's a smart and safe alternative to carrying cash, and it's convenient. Even if you have a bill that requires a check, US Money Card has that too. Visit usmoneycard.com today and find out how to get your reloadable prepaid debit card. Log on, load up, and love your US Money Card. Visit usmoneycard.com for complete details.
No dealers allowed.
Jackson Catnapper, family owned and operated in Cleveland since 1933, offering the best with over 70 styles of recliners, sofas, electronic lift chairs, full living room packages. Call Mike now at 961-7239 because Jackson Catnapper now offers sales to the public
every Saturday. That's right, every Saturday.
From 8 in the morning to 1 in the afternoon. Or call Mike at 961-7239. Or go see him
every Saturday
at 1911 King Edward Avenue, just across from the main plant. Jackson Catnapper, family owned and operated in Cleveland since 1933. 961-7239.
No dealers allowed.
Say, gone, they have gone home, gone, they have gone home. They've joined the heavenly fold. They're walking the streets of pure gold. They left one by one as the work here was done. Gone home, they have gone home, gone, they have gone home. Sadly, they have gone home, gone home. They have gone home. They've joined the heavenly fold. They're walking the streets of pure gold. They left one by one as the work here was done. Gone home. They have gone home, gone home. They have gone home. They've joined the heavenly fold. They're walking the streets of pure gold. They left one by one as their work here was done. Gone home. They have gone home. Gone home. They have gone friends
Welcome back to Old Town Cleveland here on Whoop FM 99.9, or you can go to the internet at www.whoopfm.com. What's that phone number, Morgan?
That phone number is 614-5553, or if you are out of the area, 423-614-5553.
What if I'm way out of the area?
Well,
Talk loud.
talk very loudly.
We're always glad to have Morgan here. Morgan starts down at Chattanooga State. Morgan has been part of our team here for, gosh, how many? Over a year now.
February it'll been 2 years.
2 years. So he's been involved with us for 2 years. He's a part of our team, not our intern. He's part of the team here. We're glad to have him. And he's always welcome. And sometime college may get in his way, but that's all right. He's welcome to come in and get on the mic anytime he wants to. And we do appreciate him. Today we're talking with former Chief John Cook, Chief Cook and Bottle Washer from the Bradley County Jail many years ago. We're talking about the old jail over on 2nd Street, which has now been closed since 1982, 35 years. In 1982, after the Justice Center, the jail had been condemned by the courts and the county commissioners were indicted. They built a new jail over on Johnson Boulevard on the side of the old Big Spring School.
Yep. That's where I went to elementary school.
And so in
There in East
1982, they opened that. Before we get into that story, I want to say, don't forget the Cherokee Culture Celebration down at Red Clay State Park is going on today and tomorrow.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, okay. 10 to 5 each day. Tomorrow is a Tula Warrior Dancers. I probably messed up that name, but they're a nationally recognized dance group. You'll definitely want to see them. I believe they dance at 10 and 1 and about 4. Today there's the stickball team from Cherokee, North Carolina here. And stickball is a ball that to use sticks, and it used to get, when the Cherokee days, it could get very physical, can go on for hours, and they're beating the devil out of each other. So I don't know how long their game will last, and do they hold back a little bit. But it's an aggressive game. Those are going on today. If you'd like to see a copy of the schedule, go to Old Town Cleveland on Facebook, and it's there it's on our side. Or you can go to TN Trail of Tears Association, and those are on there. Or you can just call the park, look up the number in the park, and they'll tell you what's going on. There's Cherokee Foods fried bread. If you never had fried bread, you got to go down there, get some strawberries on it, a little fried bread, yeah. Oh, little whipped creams with strawberries on it. I'm going afterwards. So don't forget to go there. And I can't remember if there's anything else going on in our community right now. Oh, if you're interested in football, next Friday night, Bradley Cleveland will be playing in the Jamboree in Ray County. Not the Chattanooga one, but in Ray County. And then, the artificial turf over there. And then Walker Valley is still playing in the traditional one down in Chattanooga, and I think they play on Saturday night. The week after that, football season kicks off in Cleveland. That's right. Go Eagles, go Mustangs.
Tracy has bought herself a green and gold Eagles shirt.
Oh, well, she works in Dayton now, right?
Yeah, she is the manager, runs Credit Central over there. So a couple months ago, I saw this Eagles jersey or shirt in the kitchen. I said, whoa, well, what's the deal here? She said, well, football season's starting. She said, we're going to wear these in the office. I got thinking, I said, man, that seems wrong.
Yeah, I couldn't wear. There's something I can't do. I have trouble wearing a blue shirt. I'm a bear.
You know who Bradley's first game is, don't you?
Farragut.
Okay, I was thinking it was Ray County.
Farragut. There.
I could be wrong.
You are wrong.
Let's get this caller here. Caller
First time.
live
I could
on
be
Old
right.
Town Cleveland.
Morgan, where's my buddy at? Is she not there today?
She's down at the Red Clay Park running the Tennessee Trail of Tears Association booth and helping with the Cherokee celebrations.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell John I'm glad he's down at the radio station today.
You miss him, don't you?
Yes, I do. And him and P-Dab. Them two men, I've laughed at them. And it's unreal.
Well, I've laughed at John a lot of times too, but I won't tell you about what.
I was trying to be serious when you were laughing at me.
Yeah, best wishes goes out to P-Dab. P-Dab's been under the weather for some time now, and we do miss him.
Yes, I heard about that, and I hate it. But no, I just got used to both of those guys, and they do a wonderful job on the radio, and I don't know why John don't come back.
Well, that's the management of Whoop Radio would have to make that decision.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh.
Well, I'm actually toying with an offer from MSNBC right now.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Matter of fact, them and several other, they've offered me a little package for $9.95 a month that includes MSNBC and HBO.
It's like that CBS record deal you had, right?
Oh, God, yeah. I had a killer record deal once.
You had to buy 10?
I had 10 CDs for a penny, and then I only had to buy 5 more over 3 years.
I wish that guy on Sunday morning would play some different songs than what he plays. That one man, he pecks on the piano, and he sings like a chicken picking corn out of a dishpan.
I've missed that one.
I don't know who he is, but what I do, I get up and cut him off.
I missed that. Well, most of the day it's just our built-in tracks here in the system, and so I think there's a live person for an hour or 2 hours in the morning on Sunday morning. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, it goes off at 8 o'clock when Dolt McCracken comes on, and I cut him off.
Tell it like it is.
Well,
there's some people I cut off too, so that's all right. Well, Joe, what else is going on?
No need to lie about it.
Did you ever visit the old county jail?
No. I don't even know where it's at.
Well, you're too drunk to remember when you got there what it was. They've got programs, Joey. I mean, you know that, don't you?
Pardon?
They've got programs to help you.
But where's the old jail at?
The old jail is downtown on 2nd Street, and then they built another jail over on Johnson Boulevard. Now we're on our...
Where the school was at, the kids all said, hey, this would make a good place for a jail.
Yeah.
Put one up there.
It wasn't... That piece of property wasn't good for many things. It was a rock. I mean, literally. All right, Joe, will you behave? If you can't, try to stay home and don't drive.
Well, I want you to do the same. And tell Debbie I said hi. Take care of you.
All right, thank you.
Come back every time you get a chance.
All right. Take care.
We love to hear you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, I could tell John Cook stories, and I could tell you about his telephone.
Oh, we don't want to talk. That's the government property.
We could talk about his exercise program and where he touched his toes one time. One time.
Hey, I'm big into physical fitness.
You're big into everything. Oh, I can't talk. But 82 moved in the new jail.
Yep.
You know, Marilyn called in earlier and says now you've got. They said the new jail required, I think it was 36 people to run that jail effectively.
Right.
How many people did the county commission give you?
I think we moved in with about 18.
18. So half of what you needed.
And yeah, we had some volunteers, and it was a big facility. You got to imagine we went from a turnkey operation, which literally big brass keys.
You turned the key and that's it.
To a facility that was mechanized. I mean, you know, the
electronic doors.
The doors were electronic, and you know, we had we're just getting into computers. Not a lot. Everything was still being done by hand. It wasn't until probably the late 80s when we actually started going into computers, and it was the old DOS system. So
you still did fingerprints manually, weren't you?
Oh yeah, we did fingerprints manually up until within probably a year of when I left in 2000. We were we're still doing those manually. And but we had had 5 cell blocks, I believe, in the back, maximum security up front. Then we had some what we called isolation cells, not isolation, but they were just single man special units. If you had special needs people, and then we had a holding tank for the men, holding tank for the gals, and nice kitchen. Had a medical facility upstairs. Had cell blocks upstairs for females, and then we had a large dorm area for minimum security. Minimum security might be people that were on work release, and so we had a lot going. I mean, and Dan Gilley, along with I think one of the state guys, one of the state inspectors, developed an operations manual for corrections, which we never had. At the old jail, you could write the manual on your palm of your hand, basically. Don't kill nobody, don't get killed. But we went to, all these rules and regulations had to be followed. Checks had to be made in every cell block every hour and documented. You had a guy up in the control tower that could monitor everything by video camera and
now
open and close the doors.
Am I correct? In the old jail, no standards, no manual. And then you moved in here, and then as you moved into the jail, you become regulated under the new rules.
It was a bit of culture shock,
and like every prisoner had to have so much space.
Right.
So in the old jail, it didn't matter.
Right.
But now you do, and then if you did any remodeling on the inside of the jail, then you change your standards to what the current standards was today.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you could actually lose space and capacity by doing remodeling.
And once we were certified, then, we came under yearly inspection. You had to be inspected, and the facility actually lost its certification a couple of times, but for the largest part, we maintained overcrowding.
Overcrowding.
Yeah, it was always an overcrowding issue, which also would spill over into staffing, because they had a formula whereby you had to have so much staff per number of inmates, but
I remember
we went in and the I can't brag enough about the people that were there.
Name some of those people again. Ray Higgins.
Some of the original staff. Tommy Chalpin, Frankie Lockhart, Ray Higgins, Sheila Massengill. I'm getting old. Duhale, Cheryl Holloway, James Durth, Anderson Sanders,
Terry Hunt,
who's still there. Terry Hunt, Alan Walsh, Ruth Cartwright, Marilyn Bandy, Phil Stauffenville, Catfish Ledford, Troy Spence.
Don
worked back in there. Keith Edwards, Don Harris.
Don Harris, a good thing.
Don Harris and Darla Prater.
Tommy Runyon.
Medical clinic. Tommy Runyon ran maintenance, and I'm forgetting people that I know, and that, but all these folks were, they were just good officers.
Yeah.
I mean, they were just good officers, and people don't realize what they faced every day back there. You had go back, you walk into a cell block to make your rounds, and you're just one person with a radio. You didn't carry any weapons. You didn't carry a stick or a
mace or anything.
Not even mace or a stun gun or anything. You will go into a cell block with 12 to 14 people in one block, and you're in there with them. You can't supervise them if you don't walk in with them. And even now at the new Justice Center over here on Blythe, those corrections officers are tremendous people. I mean, that's
a long walk from one end to the other.
It is. You wouldn't believe the amount of miles that a corrections officer will put in the course of a day.
It's a lot more open type system now too, isn't it?
And yeah.
Getting an alarm over there?
That might be my phone vibrating on the table here. It is. I got clients that are paging me here. But Yeah, we, if it weren't for the staff that went in over there, and really just a lot of us were learning on the job.
Now,
and
let me ask you a tough question, and I think I know the answer, but correctional people then had to become certified through some kind of training program.
Right.
And it didn't used to be that way. It used to be a jailer, and that's just whoever they hired off the street. Two questions. They had to become certified, and at the same time, correctional officers were not paid as much as the officers on the road.
Now,
Is that correct?
For years when we went in, and I got to brag a little bit. I'm very, very proud of the part that I got to play along with Sheriff Gilley in bringing parity to the pay. And I cannot recall off the top of my head the year that was, but for the longest there, the folks in corrections who were just as important as the guy out on the street, and had a hell of a rough job to do, and were trained, they're professionals. We're still being paid like in the old days when you brought in somebody that wasn't qualified to do anything else and just stuck them working back in the jail. But after a number of years, and I think it may have been the late 80s or early 90s, we got not only did we get parity in pay with the corrections staff and patrol staff, but we brought the entire department in line with the city police department, who at that time were always paid more than county officers. So we had a county commission at the time with some fantastic people on it, and I can't think of all of them, but we had
Bill Creech,
Bill Creech,
Bill Ledford,
and Bill Ledford, and
Al Dixon, maybe.
Yeah, Dixon was on that commission at the time.
Was Roy Ragsdale still there? Was Roy Ragsdale still there? Or?
Ragsdale was. Runyon.
I can't think of all of them.
Goodness, anyway, those guys they had a jail committee on the commission, and they were just progressive thinking people, and they knew the best way to keep from having a lot of turnover, which when you had to go through the expense of training officers and all that you had to go through to certify corrections officers, it just made sense. And same thing with county patrol officers at the time. A lot of their ambition was try to work their way up and go to work for the city police department because you make a lot more money.
Yeah, or Chattanooga, or
Chattanooga, and all that kind of ended when we got the pay parity up, and we got some
I think that
step raises, and
I think the Cleveland Police Department and the parity now has changed again in Cleveland Police Department.
I think so, and I'm not really sure.
And I'm not saying that the Cleveland Police Department is what an officer probably should be making.
And I can't be certain right now about the corrections staff and the patrol staff. I don't know if there's
we don't know.
Stayed where it the way it was, or if it's changed in any way, but that was a great time when we got that up. I mean, you had correction staff. You still got some correction staff there now that were there back during that time in the 80s when I was there, and because they got the pay up to where it should be.
It's getting to the point where they're all about to retire now, aren't they? I know Ray Higgins. I seen Ray the other day, and he's retired. So. And
I think
Phil
Sanders is.
I think Phil Stoppenville may be a reserve officer on the road now.
I believe so. I'm not sure if Alan Walsh is. I think Alan
still works at the jail, but I don't think he's in corrections anymore.
I know Billy Dyer's retired, a good friend of mine.
Did work here at the for Check Into Cash.
Yeah, he's just a retired hippie rock and roll drummer now.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. I'm an old hippie.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah. Now let me ask you a real embarrassing question.
No.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No.
There was an escape there one time at the jail.
No.
Yes, and tell us how that happened.
No.
Yes, come on, tell me how that one happened. I had a solution.
Let me tell you, I was in Gatlinburg.
Yes, but tell me what happened.
Relaxing. Matter of fact, myself and Alan Walsh were both in Gatlinburg, and there was an escape took place in one of the cell blocks.
How did it happen now?
Well, apparently some maintenance tools which should have been logged in and logged out weren't, and were left in the cell block, and they actually managed to unfasten and go through the skylight. Each cell block had a skylight because that was one of the state's requirements. So much sunlight, and a way to get around having to take them outside every day, which we would take them out once a week or twice a week sometimes, was to have a skylight. Well, they went through the skylight.
I think it was the bolt cutters that helped more than anything else.
The bolt cutters were probably
the worst
tool that could have been left in there. All I know is about 1 o'clock in the morning, I get a call.
From who?
I get a call from the sheriff. And I thought, what a nice guy. He called to see if I'm having a good time in Gatlinburg. I was told to get my
parts of your anatomy.
The backside parts of my anatomy back to Cleveland. And all I knew there'd been an escape, and I got, I thought all the way back. I said, well, hell, I hate that. It looks bad on us. I don't like it. Had no clue till I actually got in and sat down in his office and realized there was a pair of our bolt cutters that they had used. And you've heard the old expression, crap runs downhill.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it did. It did fast.
You probably shared yours on the way down, too.
Oh, yeah. I shared a lot of it on the way down.
I remember calling you saying, hey, I've got an idea for a new...
The only thing I regret saying, it was late or early. I was tired. I just driven all the way back. And I may have let it come out of my lips that sometimes crap just happens. I didn't use that word. About the time that left my lips, one of the corrections manuals come whizzing by my head. I thought, well, okay, wrong choice of words. Let's back up and get this resolved.
I remember calling you going, hey,
we got him back. We got him back.
I called you and asked, did you, I've got an idea for an addition to your jail manual. So what's that? And I said,
you were kind of a smart ass.
I said, do not leave bolt cutters in cell blocks. I mean, they ought to be like in bowl somewhere. And you didn't say anything.
No.
All I heard was,
Of course, I was the guy out there, because I was the jail administrator at the time. I think I was rank of a captain. I may have been a chief by that time. I don't know. But I was the one that had to stand out in the parking lot after they facing the news media and say, well, can you tell us what happened? I would rather not.
Let me show you these bolt cutters.
I would rather not.
Let me ask you.
They went through the skylight.
Do you remember the time that I escorted a jail inspector back to talk to Alan Walsh, who was the shift supervisor at that time?
Yeah.
What basically it was a good friend of ours, David Sink, here in town, which Alan didn't know at the time. We took him back there, and he had on his suit and tie, and we told him to ask questions about the jail. And he asked some of the far-out questions, and Alan could not answer them. And Alan was
well, these questions weren't intended to be answered.
Yes. So, here we got a call now. Save us. Go ahead, caller.
Well, this is Debbie. When you answer the phone saying save us, it kind of concerns me. I just want to tell everybody that things are hopping down here at Red Clay State Park. The weather's cool. It's a beautiful day, and we're going to have some dancers here about noon, and everybody needs to come down and join us.
Well, great. Everything. Is the fried bread ready?
The fried bread is ready, and I saw something looked like a big old plate full of homemade potato chips. I'm going to get me some of those.
What kind of dancing?
Well, they dance with all these rattles on and stuff. You can hear them for about a half hour.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if it's pole dancing. I was going to head down that way.
I'm leaning down against this tree, getting a signal, so I am going to go before I lose you.
Hey, are you there? We were talking about John leaving bolt cutters in the cell block.
Bolt cutters. I was in Gatlinburg. One of my staff did. Or somebody did.
Bye-bye. Alan
I did not.
Alan was not happy with me that day. So, but another story, not only about the jail, but you later became the chief deputy. And interesting story is that one night there was a guy shooting at people or something, and you and Jim Roof proceeded to chase him down Blue Springs Road.
Yeah.
And the video
there were several officers.
Jim
involved in
Roof,
it.
video from his cam, thing was an amazing video.
Oh, this guy, when he went off the road out into a field, he just, I think he had a couple of different weapons in his truck, but he was firing, he was shooting out the truck window there with the rifle. Probably one of the scariest times that I'd ever been a part of. I think I was a vehicle behind Jim, and scariest time of my life was when I saw him go down. I mean, Jim was shot.
Mm-hmm.
He got shot in the arm and
still has a bullet in there today.
The bullet ended up being left in as one of those deals where they, to get it out would have caused so much nerve damage that it wouldn't have been. So he still carries that with him. But he was behind the door of his car, I believe, and the bullet went through the door and into his arm. I just know that, that's the only time in a 20-something year career that I ever radioed in the officer down. That was a scary moment.
Jim was left-handed and was firing through his window there.
Right.
And his dash cam video catches the guy. He hit him in the eyebrow as the guy turned. It looked like you could lay a pencil in the wound.
Just cut a little groove across his eyebrow.
Now, if he had turned back the other way, Jim would blowed his head off, basically. So it left a slot there, and the guy spun around, and as he spun around, he fired off about 7 or 8 rounds.
Yep.
And then he dropped the rifle and took off running. So now John's going to take care of that. So what happened to your car?
What happened to my car?
Uh-huh. Don't you remember you went to get it and it wasn't there?
Someone had commandeered my vehicle.
But John was worried that the crook had took it. He's going, oh my God, where's my car?
The guy had taken off, and that was my first thought. I said, oh my God, here we go back to a bolt cutter incident now. No, but another officer, because there was a lot going on. But another officer had moved my vehicle to another spot. All I know is when I walked back from it, I had gone up to where they were taking care of Jim and came back to my car and it was gone. I thought, okay, now I know I parked here. This is where I left it. Maybe I should have took the keys with me.
Hey, folks, you're listening to Old Town Cleveland here on Whoop FM 99.9, or you can go to the internet at www.whoopfm.com. You can see and hear us here. And this show will be on YouTube about Tuesday or Wednesday next week, and you can hear all this stuff again. What's the phone number?
Well, the phone number at which someone had just called, as a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and get you on the line. You're not quite live just yet, my friend, but the phone number is 614-5553, or if you're out of the area, 423-614-5553. Now you are live on Old Town Cleveland.
Good morning. Good morning. It's Chip Bryant.
Hey, Chip Bryant. How are you?
Hey, I'm going to tell the rest of the story.
Okay.
John left his siren on. So he was pulled right up against the perpetrator's car and Jim Roof's car, and John gets out of his car and leaves the siren going. And so you can imagine with the gunshots and that siren blaring and about 10 men around the guns on what it was like. So I crawled over and crawled up into John's car and turned the siren off. So it was I think it got moved by somebody because it was like right up against the crime scene. I mean, he almost ran over everybody. That was the rest of the story.
So he didn't want to tell that part, did he?
Thanks for making me look good, Chip.
Yeah, I'm trying to help you out there, man, That was a scary time, no kidding. That's all I wanted to say this morning.
Hey, Chip, I know you remember the old jail and being around there. And it's hard to explain the smell out of the old jail.
Well, it had an odor like of stale coffee and bad wieners, and it was really
armpit.
It was an armpit smell. but everything John is saying is absolutely accurate. We didn't have any corrections deputies back then. The dispatcher was pretty much the correction.
Yeah.
Hell, Buddy Scoggins.
And I worked third shift and call in about 5:30 to go upstairs and wake everybody up and get the trustees out to start breakfast for everybody. And Miss Murray would come in, but
And on a good night, there'd only be 3 of you out on the road. Isn't that right?
yeah, there was one night Barry Breakable was dispatching, and I was the only car out, and I had to come in and get the trustees woke up. But we'd come in for third shift roll call, and we'd be drinking the same coffee that Miss Murray had made that morning at 6 a.m.
It keep you awake.
It kept you awake, but actually, it's pretty good coffee.
We talked earlier about the hot water and the red dye hot dogs on Sunday, boiling all
I
day.
love that red dye number 9 hot dogs. Still do.
Cheese and peanut butter. We've got some pictures of that old kitchen
Yeah.
that Dan Gilly had taken. I've got them on my phone. Actually, the kitchen she kept it clean, and it was just kind of a basic residential style stove and refrigerator. But we had a problem with deputies getting food out of the refrigerator once.
I remember that.
Not once.
I come in one night, and Robert Lawson had put a big logging chain all the way around the refrigerator, a big padlock on it. And Miss Mary, she'd take the key home with her so no one would get food out of the refrigerator.
Well, we always get some government cheese and it's bologna and bread
Hey, that chain got cut, though. It didn't last long.
You're right.
That sucker got cut.
Okay, guys, good show. I'll let you get back to it.
Thank you, Chip.
You know, most nights when like Chip said, when he was working at night shift, there were 3 cars.
Mm-hmm.
You had one that would work the north end of the county, one on the south end, and then one guy that just kind of roamed around the middle and would head whichever way somebody needed help.
If you had a young officer that was with you that couldn't go out by themselves yet, you would let them call in and pretend there was a 4th car on the road. But I remember one night, the cars were not great either. You know, we had some junky cars. I remember going around APD 40 one night with my blue light siren on, and every car on APD 40 passed me.
I turned my blue lights on one night and it ran the battery down.
I've done that.
Alrighty, caller, you are now live on Old Town Cleveland.
How you doing, Morgan?
I'm doing very well, Brett. How are you?
Good. How you doing, Ron?
I'm doing great there, Brett. How are you doing?
Good.
You gonna say hello to John?
How you doing, John?
Doing fine.
I have good news for you guys. Saturday morning.
Okay, what's that?
The Braves ended up winning the game last night.
All right.
Nice.
5-3 over the Miami Marlins.
All right, boy. It's getting towards the end of baseball season before you know it, isn't it?
Totally.
We have this month and September coming up.
Yep. And I guess we play the World Series will end up about the 1st of October.
Yeah, we have one more game against Miami at the end of October.
Okay.
I was going to say congratulations to Brooke and to Justin Jackson. They got married yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Happy wedding to him, or matrimony, whatever it is.
Yeah, they got married yesterday, Ron.
Wow. There's one less woman for you to chase.
Yeah.
Well, Brett, you ready for football?
Yeah.
Well, we are too. We can't wait.
Yeah. Can I tell you who we play our first opening game against?
Go ahead.
We play Farragut in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Not this Friday, Ron.
This Friday we're playing a jamboree over at Dayton.
Yeah.
So I'm planning on going to that. I've not been to Ray County, seen the turf. They've got turf at Ray County.
Ooh.
But they got good hamburgers at Gray.
Yay.
Hey, Ron.
Yeah.
You never seen Cleveland's new field?
I have not seen it yet. I'm sure I'll see it sometime this year.
We play them.
Yeah. You know, I think we play them at home this year, though, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Morgan.
What's up?
I was going to tell you, I'll tell Mr. Schroyer, you said hi I'll tell him you said hi.
All right, thanks, buddy.
I'll see him Monday.
Okay.
Nice. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting school. Like
Yeah.
full day of school's Monday, and it's like, oh goodness.
All right, you guys.
All right.
Take care, Rick.
Take care, Brett.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That's the Whoop Roving sports reporter, Brett. Wow, that's easy for me to say, wasn't it? And he hadn't called in a while, so I hadn't had to say the Whoop
Roving
sports reporter.
Brett.
I had to write that down.
You better.
All right. You're not going to tell about the time when your little phone and you had a problem with it, are you?
No.
Okay. I ain't going to tell that story. It's a good one, though.
Nope. And I wasn't going to say anything about leaving my siren on and Chip belly crawling over there to turn it off either until he called in.
You can't hide things, and I ain't going to talk about you touching your toes.
I'm going to leave the listeners here with that picture, that mental picture of Jim sliding up and then me sliding up and just battle ensuing and all this professionalism. And instead, Chip belly crawls over and turns my siren off and somebody steals my car.
How did you get under your car?
I didn't get under my car.
Oh, the shooting started.
Go ahead, caller. You are live on Old Town Cleveland.
Hey, good morning. This is RD.
Hey, RD.
Hey, RD.
Hey, man, enjoying the show.
Thank you.
Hey, got a question.
All right.
May have been on duty or still on the force back. Oh, Lord, early 90s, maybe.
Uh-huh.
There was I found two guys at the KOA up here. Escaped out of Indiana.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I was there.
You were? Okay. All right. Well, the one boy, he come to grief out off Pleasant Grove Road there. I had just moved out off that property. Where he met his demise, I lived there. And it just moved to where I live now, just up the road here in Harris Creek. But, and I mean, maybe you can say, maybe you can't, and I understand. But neighbor there, you know, I've always wondered, I've heard a couple different stories that, number one, he shot himself, and number two, that there was a gun battle and he got shot. I just have always wondered.
That is, both those stories are true. Was a hell of fire went out after him, but he took his own weapon and shot himself in, part of the body. I won't talk about that in too detail. But yeah, it was confirmed that he was never hit by any of the officers, and he did commit suicide. But it was in the middle of a gunfight.
There were some.
I don't think he ever fired back at him. I think he just had his weapon out, and they automatically, once one fired, everybody fired, and then
they did show that.
I was riding around in my personal car, just riding down slowly through the roads there to see, if he was to pop out somewhere. And I had just got out of my car, started walking down there in my white shirt, and all the shooting started. And I found me a tree because I wasn't close enough to know what was going on.
Crawl under the car?
I crawled behind a tree.
Yeah, that was a weird time. My mother-in-law, I'm there. I'll be quiet here. My wife's upstairs. I married a Yankee girl.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, oops, I didn't say that. My mother-in-law was down visiting from Pittsburgh, and that morning after, I guess, that happened, they had roadblocks up there everywhere, or maybe that day, I can't remember now. But we were sitting in the house getting ready to it had to be that night. We were going to go out to dinner, and all of a sudden I heard a boom, 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 somebody beating on my front door over here, Harris Creek, and I was like, well, who the world is that? And I said, that's the police. I said, that's not a hello, knock. That's I'm coming in the house knock. I opened up the front door, there's two armed officers there, and they're like, is anybody in the house here? And I was like, me and, family here. Nobody else running here? I no. They said, we're looking to escape convict. The guy in the run, one of them, the other fellow done dead, I think. And I said, well, he ain't here, I guarantee that. And he said, well, have you got any firearms in the house? And I was like, well, yeah, oh yeah. He goes, well, arm yourself. He said, call your neighbors. I was like, hey, all right, So the next morning, I was sitting here in the house, man, it's 7 o'clock in the morning or earlier, and I was like, whop, 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 whop. Here comes, I was like, good Lord. You know, I spent 4 years in the Air Force. There's a helicopter about 75 feet over my house. I had a big woodlot at the time. So I grabbed a AK. Oh, I said, don't go out there with that. They're looking for them people. And I said, well, I ain't. If they're looking for them, they might be out here in them woods. I ain't going out there unarmed. So I walked out, and there was a helicopter come around the back of my house with a guy hanging out the side, the monkey strap, the AR-15. He looked at me, I looked at him, and I gave him a thumbs up and pointed to the woods over here and motioned him go that way. And, you know, eyes, I'm going to walk through. So I popped through the woods the other side and gave him a thumbs up, nobody in there, and took off. And my wife still to this day, she said, you're a nut. She said, I wouldn't have no more done that. And I said, well, I don't want these people around, but, oh, yeah, I remember there was, man, it was roadblocks, and that was a big to-do.
Yeah, well, I think Knoxville SWAT was probably down with their helicopter. We had Chattanooga SWAT there, and I was just a special deputy that time. I assisted the chief over here, was my main job to do, but that was right by my house back over there also. I live across the interstate from it, though. But I thought you was going to tell me that since your mother-in-law was there, that said there's a man back here dressed like a woman.
No, I got beat to death. That'd have been another murder. But no, she did give me grief. She's like, oh, you cotton-picking rednecks down here just run around with guns all the time. I'm like, you know, gosh, when are you leaving and going home?
That's right. That's the way we do it.
Oh, my Lord. So now that's why I love living here. I'm like, you know, it's great. Man. I mean, it's just, I mean, where else in the world, you know, would you get to do something like that?
You know, the key thing here in the South, though, after you shoot them, just don't field dress them. The courts look against that.
Well, you know, I mean, it's a good relationship, I think, that the police have with the citizens of this county. You know, and here a few years ago, I had a good garden going on. I actually called in y'all's dispatch, county dispatch, and I said, I need an officer out here, you know, come out here. So they sent a boy out, and he's like, is there a problem, mister? And I was like, no problem. I said, I've got a really good garden out here. I said, I want you to go out here. I'm going to get you some tomatoes and peppers and vegetables, and you take them on down to there and share them with everybody down there, if you will, you know, just ways to say thank you, you know, so.
Well, you know, John and I, we know good, you know, radio people like tomatoes and things. Mm-hmm. RD, thanks for calling.
All right.
You've got one, you still got one of my favorite stories of all time for Old Town Cleveland, and that's the beat story, and I love that, so.
Well, maybe I'll come down. Maybe I'll come down and you can get that on tape.
You know, we need to get you and Mr. Steele. Mr. Steele is a long-time telephone guy, and you and him would be great on the show together.
Well, so might have some stories, but we got a code where we go all over the place. I mean, we see things that you guys never see. I mean, you know, I've worked in marijuana grow operations. I've worked, you know, and you just, the code is no matter what you see, no matter what you hear, keep your mouth shut.
That way you don't get shot as much.
You'll live longer.
That's right.
You're a telephone man, you know. Yeah. So, but, yeah, we got the stories now. So, well, y'all take care now.
All right. Thank you, RD. RD's a good caller. He's called us several times and told a story about his nephew or something ate beets, and when he went to the bathroom, you know, it come out red, and they took him to the doctor, thought he was bleeding, and finally, when they got back home, he had ate a big jar of pickled beets, and basically he was just passing natural colored foods, you know.
You want to hear about my very first arrest?
I'll hear about it.
My first official arrest. I think we got a phone call, though.
Yeah, we do. Caller, you were live on Old Town Cleveland.
Hey, Ron.
Yes.
We need to research that thing. I'll split the money with you. The guy says it's from the 14th to the 17th century. That's quite old. But now, you know what I'm talking about, so we won't go no further.
Okay.
But how can I go about getting that research? You know how to do stuff like that.
I know an archaeologist in Winston, North Carolina. I'll have to give him a call and see if next time he comes to Cleveland, and we'll see what we can do.
Do you want me to try to send you a better picture? I can keep it hid and send it.
Yeah, well, you might want to do that.
Well, I hope I ain't lost your number and everything.
All right, well, you know where I am on every Saturday morning.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, can you send it to... I didn't know you send pictures to Wolf.
No, I just in case you need to call me if you lose my number.
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right, Sid, thanks.
Hey, you need to take a picture of it yourself.
I will.
Because people's telling me that thing ain't no telling. It being 12 inches of topsoil before it started hitting the heart. You know how you dig corn. You know how metal detect.
Oh, yeah.
My God, you've done it for years.
We may have to get John to look at it. He's a good old metal detector.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, we got to run here. We got to get out of here.
Yeah, we gotta get out of here.
How much that is? We'll split the money, buddy.
All right, do it.
Take care, brother.
All right, bye-bye. And, what was your first arrest? I think that's the story you was telling about.
I had been an officer for the entirety of 3 days.
All right. I
Of
got
course,
you
at
beat on
that
it.
time in the late 70s, you didn't go to the academy first. They just hired you.
Uh-huh.
Matter of fact, Lamar hired me because he said, you look like you can handle yourself.
Yep. After he called me and talked to me.
My training was 2 nights of riding around with a third shift sergeant.
Who the devil was that?
Dennis Bennett.
Dennis Bennett. Oh, my God. That was your training officer?
So, I was a new guy and got the worst car. And, after a couple nights riding around it, there's an armrest that was broken. It wouldn't stay up.
Yeah.
So it would jam the revolver into my rib cage, and it kind of hurt. So now keep in mind, my only training for law enforcement was riding around with Dennis and what I seen on TV. So I had taken my revolver out and laid it on the seat next to me. And that way it didn't hurt. And it was about maybe 2 in the morning or something. Call come in, and some guy had busted open the change machine at the car wash there on 25th Street, which happens all the time. That place used to get hit all the time for some reason. And the guy was wearing a white T-shirt and blue jeans, and they gave a little description of him. And, of course, that's inside the city. No big, to do for me. But I happened to be coming back into the station, and I was coming down on Coy Street. Right at the time the call came out, and this dude in a white T-shirt and jeans and carrying a bag goes running across right in front of my squad car. And I recognized him. I said, hey, that's the guy. So I squealed over to the side. First mistake that I made was I didn't call into the dispatcher because I was kind of excited. And I jumped out of the car and ran across the road. And the only thing I could think of was things I'd heard on TV. So I yelled, halt, and a couple of explicatives.
Mm-hmm.
Halt, MF. And he did. And it was so cool. And I said, put your hands up. And he put his hands up. And I reached down and realized I didn't have a revolver. It was back in the car. So I thought real quick, and I just yelled at him, and I, used another explicative because it seemed to get his attention. I said, don't you move. And I ran back across the street to the car, got my gun, and ran back across the street and said, now turn around. The guy was still standing there. Then I thought, all right, everything's going great so far.
John,
what do I need to do now? So I told him, I said, lay down. He said, what? I said, you heard me, lay down on the ground, face down. He got down on the ground. I went over and it's only your third day on the job, and you don't have a clue what you're doing. I was a kind of a young guy. And so I thought, well, probably ought to cuff him, but I don't want to put my gun back in the holster. If I did, what if he reaches up and gets it, what if this? I'm sitting there thinking, God. So I just pulled the cuffs out and I throw them down at him and I said, put these on. He looked back and said, "What?" I said, "Put them on." He puts them on. I get him up and walk him back.
Did you make him fill out his own warrant and affidavit?
By the time I got back to the car, Buddy Scoggins was had been trying to reach me. And I told him I was kind of excited. You know, I didn't know all the proper codes to use, so I just said, "Hey, I got this guy." White guy, you know. And I was feeling pretty good about myself at the time until I got back there and got chewed out with the dispatcher. You know, it's okay to get chewed out by a sergeant. But Buddy led into me and said, "Let me tell you everything you just did wrong." I said, "But I got the guy. He's in the car. He's got a bag of quarters. What more do you want?"
You know, the proper term to yell is, "Halt, perpetrator. I may have to discharge my firearm in your direction, which could create bodily harm up to death."
Well, he was kind of moving fast, and I didn't have time for all that.
That's that's the technical.
At that point, don't you just shout,
And
"Stop
then-
or I'll shoot."
And then when you're in court and you testify that you hit him, you didn't hit him with your nightclub, your nightstick. You hit him with your baton. Sound like something you twirl. I struck him with my baton. I done a.
Hey, all I know is I apprehended the robber, took him in, booked him, then went down to the Teddy Bear and got myself a cheeseburger.
Oh, there's just the teddy bear alone was worth.
I missed the Teddy Bear.
Oh God, extra grease early in the morning.
Usually about 3 in the morning or something, we would 2 or 3 of us would be sitting on the front steps of the old jail, and we'd send a trustee, Henry Sutton. Remember Henry?
I talked about Henry the other day.
It may not have been 2 in the morning. I'm not sure what time.
I seen
Teddy Bear
Henry.
was
I
open
seen
all-
Henry
pretty
up
much
in
all night.
Athens. He looks just
We'd
like
send
he
him
did.
down there to get us a cheeseburger, buy him one.
Henry, when Henry used to like to do some stealing, and he would steal
Little
copper, and he got enough money so he could go to the picture show.
That's all.
And get some
He loved
popcorn.
going to the
That's it.
movies.
That was it. That was his whole life. But he looked like he was, when he was 18, 19, he looked like he was 10. I mean, really, and today he looks like he's 12. I mean, he's 50-something now. And he went to court. He stole the Boy Scout outfit and went to court.
In court in a Boy Scout uniform.
And the judge says, "I just can't put this boy in jail."
He said, "I can't put you in jail."
But Henry would wash our car. He washed
Yeah, he
your
was
personal
the
car
car.
for you for a couple of dollars. And then on Sunday night, they'd let him walk up to the Princess Theater.
We would.
And watch a movie and get some popcorn, and he'd come back after the movie.
He was a trustee. He was the car wash trustee. And on Sunday, we'd
You,
let
you
him
know
walk
everything's
over
all right unless there was
go to the
copper
movies.
missing sometime.
Yeah.
He actually lives in Athens now. I've seen him. He doesn't look any different than what he did back then. I mean, that's. But
Henry Sutton.
there's some other names there too, and down at the new jail, I never got to eat there. We couldn't sneak in and get a bologna and cheese sandwich with an officer.
No, you had to work inside.
You had to be an insider.
Yeah, you had to be an insider.
Yeah, well,
We'd
that's
still
right.
go back there and get us a good sandwich.
Yeah, but you know, us out on the road, we didn't get anything. You know, except I know one night I come in and there was what they call a sally port, which means there's 2 doors, and one door you open it, you close it, then you open it, and that way you can't get into it. Well, I come to the door, looked up at the camera, and waved my hand, and they opened the sally port. And as the door opened, John threw this guy into my arms. He's swinging, and I grabbed hold of him. And John said, "Hold him, I got to have a rest."
Well, I've been inside trying to book him, and this guy was crazy. You know, he didn't want to. He didn't want to hit me. He was a wrestler. He just wanted to wrestle and get away. So I mean, I had him in a bear lock, and I had him in a headlock, and he'd wiggle out, and I couldn't get him in there holding. And I was just getting tired. And my intention was, and statute of limitations is up on this, I can say. My intention was I had gotten a hold of him, and I was just going to ram him into the doggone Sally Port door, knock his butt out, so I could put him in the holding tank. I didn't know you were coming through, but you're right. Right about that time the Sally Port door opened, right as the time I was flinging him into it, and instead of hitting the side of the port door, he ran right into your arms, and you looked at me and said, "What the hell you want me to do with him?" I said, "Just hold him for a while. I'm tired." I went and sat down. If you can put him in the holding tank, I hadn't been able to.
Now, at the new jail, besides the bolt cutters, did you have any other escapes? Well, first, before we tell that, real quick, it's time for us to go almost, but before we moved in, the patrol officers and the correctional officers went over to the new facility to map out a plan if we had a takeover inside the jail. How would we handle, civil uprising inside?
We played out some scenarios.
So the first thing we did, we put them out in what they called the outside. It's not a play area. What do you call it? Recreation area. Yeah, outside recreation. They're supposed to get this. And we were seeing if people could escape from there. John was their guard. They threw John into the corner of the building, and 5 people run up his back off the top of his head, grabbed the top wall, and went across the roof and escaped. This is on the first day we tried anything. We got this. We had this on video. These 5 guys, and John said, "They about killed me." I mean, literally, they threw him up this wall and just literally ran. One guy hit him on the back, and he went up, and they were stepping on his shoulder and stepping on his head and jumping off.
Yeah, and then we put a group of officers in one of the cell blocks and wanted to run a scenario, and I'd be damned if they didn't decide to write. And it wasn't in the script, and we had to do it. Let me tell you what, telling a group of police officers, won't you pretend like you're inmates? They are far worse than anybody that's ever been locked up in
We put the
jail.
correctional officers in there, and
They
then
go crazy.
Jimmy Hester was going to be the leader of the team. He says, "All right, this was what happened. You go in with your nightstick, and you come out with your nightstick. Nobody takes your nightstick away." So we went in there.
The first thing they did was...
Oh, my God. What a fight we got into with the correctional officers. They were the prisoners. They fought, and everybody got their nightstick took away from them except me. And this was all on video, and we all laughed, and we all rolled in the floor. We hurt so much. So we're going to do it again. So they're in there raising Cain. Hester walks up there, and the little feed door opens it, pulls the pin on the hand grenade, and throws it inside there. Then we set some paper on fire in there, and we had somebody up on top of the shower thing, and he didn't know they was going to burn it, and everybody left except him. He's going, hey guys, the place is on fire. With the crazy stuff. But now, was any other escapes besides that one through the wall of Andy's office, your bolt cutters?
I don't recall any. I mean, you would have an occasional walk-off from
trustees
that were working up at the garage, or you'd have somebody walk off from work release.
Well, Richard
as far
Miller,
as physically escaping out of the jail, I believe the skylight and the one that went through the wall into Andy's office.
That's Richard Melvin, Richard Roberts, that works at the Banner, was a correctional officer.
He was,
and a guy who was on trustee ran and jumped into a car and was going to leave the facility. So Richard done just what they did in the movie. He dove onto the hood of the car and grabbed hold of the hood as they drove out of the parking lot. And as they drive down on the road, he says, "This is not a really good idea."
That's a bad plan.
And they got to the edge of the road down there at the stop sign, and they stopped, and he jumped off, and then they left. And he said, "I'm glad they," but I'll never forget Richard doing that.
We actually had a work release guy to come check back in on a Sunday. He'd been out working, and he came in and I smelled pot on him. And which, is a stupid question to ask, but I figured, hell, why not? I said, "You been smoking pot?" He said, "I'm sorry, yes, sir." And I thought you're always looking for information. Thought I'd get a name, who got it from. I said, "Where'd you get it?" He said, "It's out in my car in the parking lot."
You remember I got hit by a guy on work release ran a red light and hit my patrol car. And then tried to leave the scene. I called him, asked him where he going. He says, "To jail." And I said, "Yeah? What do you mean?" He says, "Well, I'm on work release. I'm headed back to the jail."
This could be a problem.
Yeah. There's so much. There's one guy hid in the gun locker. You had a little gun locker. You took your key out, and you go back in the back because you couldn't carry your weapon back there. One inmate put his bottle in the gun locker and took the keys. We never could figure out who had the key to that gun locker, and he'd go out there.
You've seen officers doing it, so you figured, hey, what the hell?
They-
You've got a secure place to keep my liquors in.
The first guy,
We're digressing.
first guy who died in the old new jail, in 1982, I arrested him. He was at the Ponderosa truck stop. I come around up from Lower River Road up through there, and there he stands out by the corner of the Ponderosa at the back corner with no pants on. No pants on. And I sort of pull in there, and I says, walk over there. And when I got there, his eyes were already dilated huge and looked at me, and I says, what are you doing? And he started reaching for his pants. And I said, wait a minute, bud, wait a minute. And when he grabbed his pants, this big bag of marijuana fell out. So I cuffed him, made him put his pants on. We took him to jail. About an hour later, I heard an ambulance dispatched to the jail. Then I was called in, and he had hung himself in the jail. And in a cell block that there's no way you're supposed to be able to hang yourself. So he actually took off his pants and rammed it into a seam till it held him, and he hung himself that way. That's the first one that ever died over there. Not a lot of people die in jail, though, is there?
Not a lot, no.
You know, of course, they're always, when you got inmates together, anybody could die at any moment. I mean, a correctional officer could get killed, or a fellow inmate, because they could just beat him to death. You know, a couple guys get on one guy, and it's
a
Bradley
dangerous
County.
place to work.
Bradley County don't seem to be as dangerous as, say, a Knoxville or a Chattanooga jail. You've got a larger inmate.
Still
Well, John,
a
anything?
dangerous place to work, though.
John,
I've
anything
got
else
a
you
lot
want to
of-
talk about?
Admire those people.
Well, first off, John, thank you for all your service that you did for the Bradley County Sheriff's Department. He was also on the City School Board.
I did 2 terms with City School Board.
And was on many, we were on Passage from Violence, domestic violence programs, and a lot of things you did for this community. And I always worked in the William Hall Roger Basket Fund, and then you was president of the FOP, and you did some huge projects to help the needy. So thank you for all you've done. And one last time, you have Forever Music, which is your own little recording studio.
Yeah, Forever One Plus Music, and I've been writing since I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
Still, and you and I just finished a new album. About a year ago?
Yeah, with Fat Cats. Yeah, it's sold 9 copies now.
Yeah, 9 copies. It's doing real well. I believe we're gonna bust that 10 mark anytime.
Yeah, so
But
it's a million seller. We have 1 million of them in your cellar over there.
yeah,
So.
I like to write, and I'd like to bring people in. I like to bring songwriters in, and help a lot of people write a poem or write a song, and they've actually already got a tune to it, or they may not, and they just want to
Well, John has
final product and get it on CD.
written all the soundtracks for our 5 documentaries we've done. And one day I walked in and says,
Matter of fact, it's a Dirt Track Life. It's got over 140,000 views on.
Done a very good
on
little
YouTube.
video.
Yeah.
I'm working on a video for your song that you wrote called B.I.G. And I hope to have that done soon. Every time I get started, you know how 10 other projects go.
Yeah.
I've been working on that. But 5 documentaries. I walked in one day and says, I need a song about hamburgers. What? And he come up with The Burger Rag, which is just fit the documentary perfect. It's a Dirt Track Life is one about our dirt track racing, and John basically wrote a song called It's a Dirt Track Life, and we named the documentary because of his song. And then we done another one. He wrote a song called It's Home, and next thing you know, Copper Hill, with the people talking in there, it become and so John just writes, beautiful songs, and I told him I needed a haunting something, and he done this different type sound, not so. And like I say, if you got a song or a poem and you can't sing and you can't write a song, if you got a poem and an ideal, John Cook can put it to music, and a lot of times I'll be there helping him do those things. And because we've done, God, how many 100 people did we do that for back in our old days?
There's no way to count. I've lost count. You and I both been doing this since we were
young boys.
Kids.
Yeah.
Back when we can remember things.
And remember that red Yamaha guitar goes in the will to me.
That's what you've been telling me.
Well, have you got your will written yet? I can get somebody to write it. You know, that is the best sounding guitar you got.
It screams.
I mean, it's a good one. You know, I mean, you got some good guitars over there, but I wouldn't trade.
That's my baby.
Would you trade it for my Les Paul?
No.
You know, it's a 72 Les Paul.
I've been playing
Black custom.
I've been playing that guitar since
A 72.
81
I
or
wouldn't
82.
trade my Black Les Paul. Though.
I know you wouldn't.
And that's a good one. Well, Morgan, you got any final things to say?
Final things to say.
You know, Morgan, we're always glad to have him. He's a part of Old Town Cleveland and part of Whoop Radio. You know, he was an intern for a while. We don't call him that anymore. He is our official member of the team here. Anytime he wants to come in, you know, he's welcome here and part of the team. And he's had some moments. He's asked the guest, he says, what? There's some. So, folks, every week we tell you, get the pictures from up and under the bed.
Up and under.
Right, and take them out and get some archival labels and archival ink right on there and find someone in your family to find out who's in those pictures. Share those pictures. When you die, this is important. When you die, tell in your will where you want your old pictures to go. If your kids don't want
I would
them,
do it before you die.
well, yeah. You're right, before you die. Tell where you, and if you don't want your pictures to be thrown in the garbage can, just say you want to contribute them to the history branch of the Bradley County Library, Cleveland Bradley County Library. Just donate them with them. They've got thousands and thousands of pictures indexed up there, and they will take your pictures. If you want to, if you got some pictures right now, old family pictures, and you're wanting to get rid of them, call Ron Moore, Debbie Moore right here on Whoop Radio, and we'll take them, and we will process them, and then we'll get them to the library. We pull out the great ones, though, of course.
Absolutely.
Dr. McCulley pictures we got are just unbelievable. I got tons of them, too. And finally,
If we can get this right.
if we get this right, you know, save your history. We'll always remember Pearl Harbor, but
Will we remember Aunt Pearl?
hey, we'll see you next week here on Old Town Cleveland.
Hello, I'm Johnny Cash.
And you're listening to WOOPLP, Cleveland, Tennessee. Whoop FM is a broadcasting service of the Traditional Music Resource Center, and we play American